We knew he had the talent. No one said he couldn't be a great player in this league. That was obvious. But the question was whether he was going to be an MVP caliber player in this league. And he has embraced that and is getting so much better. The fact, like I said, out of shape, he's playing more minutes per game, 4 more minutes per game than he did last year. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but that's big for a big man like that who has had a lot of health issues before and has a lot of wear and tear on his legs. So that's up. When I said he's not willing to improve, well, every statistic you can think of, he is getting better at.
Welcome to the ChadBurn Show, brought to you by M. Chad Baldwin.
Hello and welcome to the ChadBurn Show. I am your host, M. ChadBurn, and we are back at it for another episode of the ChadBurn Show. Yes, we are coming in hot with episode 72 of the ChadBurn Show after a week where we had on a great guest with Carlo Macarachi to talk all things Eagles. You know, have just not let really the Eagles go yet this season. We were focused, obviously, on the Carson Wentz trade. We were focused on how the Eagles had ended their season, their future for them, Howie Roseman, the decisions he had to make, how he was going to make this team better. And now that the Carson Wentz trade is done, things are quiet in the NFL front. Things are quiet until we hit the draft, until we see who's going to be selected by the Philadelphia Eagles. Once we hit the March 12th deadline and we're able to actually start trading, the teams can start trading, the start of the season happens, and all the deals that have been set up so far go through, and we see all the capital that's built up by our team. That's when the action will happen. But right now, we're in that lull period for the NFL. And as many of you know, this is definitely like a podcast that focuses a lot on the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFL, and we try and just drag that out as long as we can because we don't want to see the NFL season end and the Philadelphia Eagles obviously go into the sunset. But, you know, it is about time that we moved on, and we keep teasing at the end of every episode that we would start talking about the Philadelphia 76ers and start getting into the NBA side of the show and start focusing, as we always do now this time of the year, on the NBA. The NBA obviously is starting to approach the All-Star game, so we're almost at the halfway point for the NBA season, and there is a lot to unpack so far in this regular season. And it has been a good one for the Philadelphia 76ers, and it is about damn time that I get on here and start talking about the team and what I love what I'm seeing under the new regime of Doc Rivers, how the evolution of the Philadelphia 76ers has come to fruition, and seeing the new style of how they play and the efficiency at which they play. And then, of course, the two stars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, with the latter obviously having the MVP caliber season right now. Joel Embiid up there with LeBron James and Giannis and Nikola Jokic out in Denver. But we will have to focus down on all the players. What are the big improvements we've seen from last season to this season? What explains them getting to the position to be first in the East and really to be contenders? That's right, folks, contenders. They absolutely are one of the favorite teams going into it, and there's a lot that, is to be liked about this team. There's a lot that we can be proud of, and there's a lot, obviously, for us to discuss. So, finally, it's Sixers time. Well, this whole Sixers evolution, this whole change from from the Brett Brown era of just disappointment, of high expectations, no results, of, the different swaths of weird supporting role players that did not live up to what we expected from them. All of that has now changed under the new regime of Doc Rivers. And Doc Rivers is a huge, huge reason for the success of the Philadelphia 76ers so far. I mean, it is obvious that there is no way they're this good right now without the kind of change that Doc Rivers has brought to this team. And one of those changes has been a different offensive mindset, the different way they're going to play on the court, and 2, defense. This last year, when we brought in, obviously, like Al Horford and other players that we thought could be defensive juggernauts for the 76ers, we assumed they were always going to be able to shut down teams, right? We knew that they would probably be able to score, but we always knew they could shut down teams. But that never happened. That did not come to be. It were always like lacking in that department. Whether or not if Embiid was not on the court, there was no defensive pressure in the middle of the court. There was no center that could take on all the other big guys. It's just Al Horford was not getting it done. On the wings, every team was able to shoot threes all they wanted. We weren't closing out. We weren't able to apply any pressure on the outside. And then obviously, it just snowballed from there, but the defense was never as we expected it to be. But this year, it is incredible. I mean, we are 7th in the league in total rebounds, 4th in steals, 2nd in blocks. I mean, the defense is just inspiring right now. And on the flip side, also, you see that we're 10th in the league in field goal percentage and 8th in points. I mean, this Sixers team does it on both ends of the court. It's amazing. But to get back to it, the defense is just... I'm so shocked to see this happen. It's better defense, a better scheme, higher percentage shots, and efficiency. I mean, all across the board, it's just impressive to see that per game, the defensive rebounds are up, the steals are up, the blocks are up per game. They just are getting in the faces of the players. They're able to make it a hassle from the half-court line all the way to the rim. Embiid has just upped his game to be a complete monster down in the paint. And Ben Simmons is exactly what we want him to be. Ben Simmons, we knew, could be a very athletic defender on the guards. We always thought maybe, he'd have to take only on the 2 guard or the 3 guard, but he's actually able to take the point guards as well and to disrupt their game. We've seen it happen to Damian Lillard. We saw it happen, obviously, down Mavericks. Of course, the name's going to blank in my head right now, but it'll come up. But he's just being so dominant on star players, and they're not able to get the shots in Norman Wood because of the length and size of Ben Simmons. Now you add into the mix players like Danny Green, who has obviously been a nice addition to it, Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, Tobias Harris also getting much better at defense. I mean, all those players together, it has just become a consistent unit that is able to talk well on the court, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. I'm just so impressed by how much better they've become on defense, and it's a credit to Doc Rivers to drill that into their team, to find the strengths of all the players and be able to make it work on the court. And that goes as well for the offensive side of it, right? One of the things I always harped on with Brett Brown was that Brett Brown, for whatever reason, just refused to utilize the pick and roll. He refused. The scheme around Brett Brown was a 3-point shooting, high percentage shot team. They took a lot of 3-pointers, but they did not have the personnel in order to do that. And the other thing that was really disappointing throughout the last 2 seasons is that we started to believe that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid could not cohabitate on the court at the same time. It just was not possible. There was always a debate of if you had to ship out one, who would you ship out? Can this be corrected? Can we make it work with the talent on the court, or are they just not going to work? Because in Brett Brown's offense, right, without the pick and roll, you often had Joel Embiid just sitting down low. And so if Ben Simmons is driving to the basket, the paint gets clogged. You had not real true shooters on the outside, so you couldn't just kick it out and hope someone's going to make a shot. If you didn't have Joel Embiid low down the post, you had him for whatever reason sitting high at the 3-point line because he was your only really reliable 3-point shooter on that team. So you had, after J.J. Redick was gone, obviously. So you have Ben Simmons who's just kicking out to maybe Joel Embiid, but that's not where he should be. That's not where he's dominant. Sure, he can make 3-pointers, but that doesn't help the team. So nothing was really flowing in the way that it should with that type of talent on the court. So what you noticed was that when Embiid was out, if he's injured, all of a sudden the court opened up. Because in Brett Brown's offense, speed was key. And when you had Ben Simmons, you could push the ball quickly. You could get down the court. He's dynamic going to the rim. And if not, you had players that could trail behind him for short jumpers, maybe a layup, and occasional 3-pointer. So the team looked better when it was just Ben Simmons. And that is why I went on record last year saying that if I were going to trade between Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, I was more than likely going to lean towards Ben Simmons. Because I thought under the Brett Brown regime, that if we wanted to be a fast team, if we wanted a team that could play up-tempo in the style that Brett Brown liked, that you needed someone like Ben Simmons to command and be the court general versus a Joel Embiid. What we could finally see, which is so refreshing, is that when you have a new coach come in who is then looking at the court and not listening to the outside noise, he's not listening to how everyone says that, Simmons has to be a 4 or a 3. He shouldn't be handling the ball, put him down low in the paint. He's not listening to the fact that Embiid's a dual threat, so we have to keep him outside the 3-point line or we can't clog the paint with him. No, he starts bringing in fundamental basketball in something I preach forever, the pick and roll. The pick and roll with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, any pick and roll with just Joel Embiid involved. Last year with the Brett Brown, the Sixers were second to last in the league in utilizing the pick and roll. The frequency, the efficiency, all of it was in the bottom 5 in the league. This year, we're finally up in it. 13th in utilizing the pick and roll. 15th and for points off of the pick and roll. And third in the league with scoring frequency off the pick and roll. Because it works. Shocker. So now we have an offensive front where we actually have Embiid coming up, setting the pick, rolling to the hoop. You either have to then back someone off onto Embiid because he's such a threat. So now the ball handler can easily get a lane because if the pick works, they're going to be alone going straight to the rim. We see it happen consistently, whether it's Seth Curry, Danny Green, or Ben Simmons, who we know is going to finish. And if not, you have Tobias Harris, so if they stick on him, he can pop out and make a jumper. And then if they do stick with the ball handler, it's easy to lob it up to Embiid down low and let him do his job. It's refreshing to see a team that is utilizing the talent on the court and scheming around the talent they have. It's nonsense to think that two superstars like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid could not be on the court at the same time. You just need to be able to create the plays for it. If you're going to have it be down in the paint, pick and roll up high with Ben Simmons on the wing, get him out so they can get the ball to Embiid down low, move the players away from him, ISO Embiid down low, and let him do his job. And if you don't have them, otherwise you also bring them Embiid up at the elbow. Pick and roll off. You can have Simmons drive to the basket and Embiid can pop out. Or you can easily take a short elbow jumper or roll to the hoop to give an option to Ben Simmons. There's just so much you can do with those two on the court. And we're finally seeing it happen. And again, credit to Doc Rivers. This team is first place in the conference. A half game up on the Brooklyn Nets, who have one of the most killer power three you could have, the big three in Brooklyn Nets, in Harden, Kyrie Irving, and obviously Kevin Durant. But the Sixers are still being consistent. Now, obviously, of recent, they lost to the Cavaliers. They had some bad losses on their West Coast road trip, but they're still winning against other good teams. And I always discount these types of losses to Cavaliers because, of course, they could win, but any given night, there's a chance that a team can win, right? But if you put the Sixers against the Cavaliers in a 7-game series, the Sixers are going to win every time that series. So I'm not concerned with the 1 games here and there. We also see sometimes a player like Seth Curry is going to have an inconsistent shooting night, but then light up. That's to be expected with role players like that. But what we got to see is that even in these losses, in these amazing long road wins and their losses, Ben Simmons and the stars of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are still kicking ass on the court. And that's what we need to see happen. Now, of course, they came up short in some of these games, and there are things to be fixed. We can't be caught on our back foot. We cannot have the defense crumble under these teams. As I'm praising the defense, they cannot give up a lot of points to these lesser teams, and they need to take advantage of them, of course. But this is going to happen. Every great team in the NBA loses some games to poor teams. I mean, we see it happen with the Lakers. We see it happen, obviously, right now with the Bucks, but we see it against with the Nets. I mean, they were going to lose to some teams. They're going to have a good night, start shooting, getting hot, and that's the game, right? That's how it goes. But they are still winning against good teams, and they're still winning consistently enough to keep their place in first place, and they're going to have to do that all the way into playoffs. Now, do I think they hold on to the first seed for the whole rest of the season? Probably not. The Nets are going to get hot, and the Nets are going to win a lot of games because whether or not they play defense, they're going to score a ton, and that's going to help them out in the long run. But I do think the Sixers can maintain a second or third spot in the league if they don't hold on to the first. They're going to be well-positioned going to the playoffs, and I think you put the Sixers regimen you have right now against any of these teams in a 7-game series, I think you stand a great chance because of the defensive performance. Like we said, they've upped it on steals, upped in blocks. The points against, they are just playing at a higher level there, and I think they're going to be able to slow down some of these high-scoring teams like the Nets. I think that we've seen them play. They're not going to have much trouble with the Bucks. I think they're not going to have much trouble with the Raptors. Knicks are an interesting story, but I don't think it's trouble there. They are going to be fine in the East during these runs, and so I think they have a great shot to make it to the championship game. Now, I also wanted to say, the offense, while I talk about their defense and holding down these teams, the offense has really improved as well. A lot of credit's going to go, obviously, to our superstars who have improved, and we're going to get into them in a bit. But 10th in the league in field goal percentage. Their field goal percentage is up from last year. The free throw percentage is up from last year. Their 2-point percentage and attempts and just in general makes are up from last year. So they are able to make great shots, and I would say like efficient shots. They're able to obviously get the shots they want at a higher clip. They're getting to the line more, which is something we were critiquing them throughout the last few years, whether it's Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid not getting enough, whatever player on the court. They're getting to the line. They're making their free throws. They're forcing the teams to foul them, and they're obviously making their shots when they're open, and that's huge. This is such a change from before. It's a breath of fresh air from the Sixers we've seen in the past who were missing open shots. They weren't getting the high percentage shots. They're not driving to the basket trying to get the foul. They're kicking it out. We're seeing that they're really trying to push, and it's just fundamental basketball that Doc Rivers brings, and that's why he's so successful everywhere he goes. He creates a great scheme for the players on the court, and he's able to get the respect from them and get the best talent out of those players. We'll see how it comes in the playoffs because that's sometimes where Doc Rivers comes up short with these teams, but I still think he has built a great core around this team with all the complementary players you need to help out the big two in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. The other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was very interesting, and sorry, also, when I say about free throws, they're first in the league in free throw attempts. Like, they are getting to the line. But the other one I think is interesting is that while this team is not necessarily a three-point shooting team, they're having some success. But what I like to see is that unlike the Brett Brown era where these players consistently shot up threes when they had no business taking those shots, this year they're only taking the high percentage three-point shots. So when they're open, when Ben Simmons get a good kick out, and they're taking those shots when it happens, not forcing them up. Because as we can see, they're 26th in the league in three-point attempts, but they're 16th in the league in the percentage of the three-pointers they shoot. So the efficiency is increasing. They're really obviously only taking the three-pointers that they think they can make. And that is also great to see because I'm so tired. I know the league is going that direction. The analytics, that three-point shots are the ones that are better for you because obviously if the more three-pointers you make, it's one more point than two-pointer, and in the long run, you're probably going to win. But it doesn't work if you don't have shooters on your team. I don't care what the analytics say. If you're shooting under 30%, I don't want you shooting three-pointers. I don't need you going out there. If you have, 30%, under 40% at that rate. I know because the Sixers in the past have had like 33, 34% three-point shooters, but like still, that's not going to get the job done. You're going to waste possessions. You're not going to get points when you need them, and the other team is going to take the ball down the court fast and score on a fast break if you're lucky. So I'm happy now. They're taking the right shots. They're doing what they should be doing. They are pounding the paint. Embiid is just, his footwork is incredible down low. We'll get more into him, but they have just absolutely matured. They are playing at a higher level. They just, all in all, look better as a team, and I am so happy to see this getting done. So again, like I said, Doc Rivers coming in, new culture, but focus on defense, a better defensive front, better scheme for the players out there so you get your superstars on the court at the same time, and a higher percentage of shots and better efficiency. That's a big one. Better efficiency. And as we mentioned, obviously opponent's field goal percentage is down, especially in the paint over the last few years. So that's another great point I want to put out there. But in general, this is a Sixers team that has evolved to a contender level. It's no longer like, oh, the talent out there is enough for them to win. Let's see if they can put it together. It's now they are clearly playing at the level where they can make it to the NBA Finals. And they have a chance to win a championship. Now, obviously, there are some serious teams coming out of the West. It will be a tough uphill battle. Even in the East, it's not going to be easy. A lot of these East teams are going to come out and play better in the playoffs. But for now, the Sixers look like they are legit. Now, the reason they are legit is because their two superstars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid have upped their game this season. Ben Simmons has become a lockdown defender. I don't even need the stats here. If you watch the games, Ben Simmons is a problem for opposing teams. The superstar player who is in this league is typically a guard, is not able to get the shots they want with a Ben Simmons on them. The length his speed, his agility, his understanding of the movement of the player. He is always able to stay in front and just always create a tough shot for the opponent. I mean, we have seen this countless times, and he is just always able to divert where they want to go, get steals, what have you. He is playing at a crazy defensive level. Per 36 minutes, he is up in rebounds, he's up in blocks. His steals are about the same right now, but he's just able to just play lockdown defense. And you can see how everyone feeds off that. When you're great on defense, the team and the players around you are also going to up their game. Now, not only has Ben Simmons improved in the defense, but I say, and he doesn't have a jump shot yet, I think his offense is improving as well. He's playing a better commanding role on the court, whether it's getting a better position for players to get better shots on the three-point line, in the paint, and Ben Simmons is dishing it out better, and he's not afraid to go after and get on the line for the free throws. His free throw attempts are up, and in fact, his percentage is up from last year. So when we used to see in the last few years where Ben Simmons would drive and just kick it out without taking the contact, Ben Simmons is now embracing the contact. He's taking it on. And I don't care if he doesn't have a jump shot, if he's able to get the ball to the right players, and he's going to not be afraid to go to the free throw line. That was the big gripe for me so long. I didn't care about the jump shot. I was just pissed off he's not going to the free throw line. He is so quick to get to the bucket. Why is he not taking the contact? Why is he not at least trying to get the other team into some trouble and foul trouble? It was baffling to me with his size and his speed. But it's up. He's playing, like I said, better. His assists are up. Per 36 minutes in the league, his assists are way up. He's rebounding more. He's getting involved in all the facets of the game. But like I said, he is a facilitator to the players around him. And that doesn't mean he doesn't get his points. I think his points per game this year is somewhere around 16, which is nice to see for Ben Simmons. I think it's a little down from last year, but he's still able to go off with 26-plus points a game if he wants to. When he needs to turn on, he can score. And he is so creative around the rim. It's watching a player of that size. I mean, when he gets going with a full head of steam, you just can't stop him. So I'm loving to see his play because it's just everything's coming together for him. He gets the open shots for his teammates. He's a ball hawk trying to get on the ball and rebounding. He's up on that. He's able to play better defense. He's able to just get in front of the defenders and change around. And his true shooting percentage is up. Because we all know he's not taking jump shots, but he's getting high efficient shots to the rim. He's not just chucking up the ball, and he's able to actually get them at a high clip. So I'm happy with that. His win percentage, his win share percentage is up. I mean, he's just being more of an impact on this team throughout this whole season. And that's amazing. And the even crazier part is even though Ben Simmons is playing, I mean, not lights out, but he's playing at such a higher level, an all-star level, Embiid just went to the moon and back with getting better. I have been on record, like I said, that I would have traded Embiid for Simmons. Now, before I am completely burned at the stake for trying to make a comment like that, let me be clear of why I used to think that way. Every season, we heard that Embiid needed to work on his health and get his weight under control. He needed to be healthier to play more minutes for this team. So my concerns always every year was that he was out of shape. He was not willing to improve because he was off goofing around, playing on the street with other players, like with playing these amateur guys down in Philly. He's off on vacations. He's having fun. He's this goofy guy. I was worried he wasn't going to take it serious and improve. And I also believe that when the team needed him and needed him to carry the team in difficult situations and win tough, close games, I didn't think he was going to get it done. He didn't have the track record for it because either he was going to be out of the game or he was going to be gassed and exhausted by the end. But now, all of that has changed. When I used to be worried about him out of shape, his minutes are now up in the per game this year. He's playing more minutes. He finally took it serious in his offseason, is in shape and ready to play and seems to be more serious, more driven to be this great athlete. We knew he had the talent. No one said he couldn't be a great player in this league. That was obvious. But the question was whether he was going to be an MVP caliber player in this league. And he has embraced that and is getting so much better. The fact, like I said, out of shape, he's playing more minutes per game, 4 more minutes per game than he did last year. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but that's big for a big man like that who has had a lot of health issues before and has a lot of wear and tear on his legs. So that's up. When I said he's not willing to improve, well, every statistic you can think of, he is getting better at. His field goal percentage went up from 47 to 51%. His three-pointer percentage is up from 33 to 41.5%. His two-point percentage is up. His free throw percentage up. I mean, every statistical one you want to look at on the offensive side of the ball is up for this man. He is just getting the shots he needs. Not to mention his effective field goal percentage is up from 51 to 53%. He's just contributing more points to this game, and not just a ball hog in the way that he's just taking, poor percentage shots in the sense of, just chucking the ball up or hogging on the ball and there wasn't a better player open. When he needs to get points, he is able to get them. His footwork, his movement by the paint is gorgeous. I mean, he gets a post up on a player, and I just don't think there's any way anyone can stop him. The shimmy fade jumper, he's able to lock out players with the drop step and move to the hoop with a hook shot. I mean, everything you want from a big man, it's there. And the jump shot, watching the games when he does the fader jumper, like on the baseline or he's down low, does a quick pump fake right, spins out, fades. I mean, it's a work of art. I just don't know how many big men you can see do that today. And in a time where we said the big man was dead and it was all about the guards and the shooting, he has just completely brought that back. Now, obviously, Jokic out in Denver, I mean, that's another big man. Anthony Davis, there have been a lot of big man players that have been important, but Joel Embiid is a very big man, right? I mean, almost 7-foot center, and it's that type of traditional role of where you put him down low has slowly been tried to be pushed out of this league. And it's nice to see this renaissance of the big guy again down low, the 4-5, that's a very powerful player. Like I said, Jokic, Anthony Davis, Giannis in another sense, but he's more of a 4 than a 5. I mean, all of these players have really kind of revolutionized the position. And Joel Embiid, he's just healthy. He's able to play a lot, knock on wood, and all the shots that he's taking are just going in. You watch a game and you're like, I don't think he can miss right now. And not to mention, because he was a great free throw shooter before, but having a big man that can go to the line and knock down all the free throws, they're going to foul him all day and it doesn't matter. It's great for us. It's just gravy on top. He is just so good this year. It's incredible. And when we look at the MVP race, I don't really know how there's a talk for LeBron out there. Embiid beats LeBron in points per game. He beats LeBron in field goal percentage this year. He beats LeBron in three-point percentage, and he beats LeBron in free throw percentage, which is another thing that I think is critical because LeBron is constantly going to the line. We know that as a fact. He doesn't get fouls called on him. He gets against him. He gets fouls called for him. So we know both Embiid and him are going to the line a lot, and Embiid's knocking down the shots. There's other categories like blocks, obviously Embiid's going to be better at, but he's a 5. He's not, the LeBron's on the same position as Embiid. But in a lot of the same positions where you can compare them because they're in different positions, Embiid's winning. I don't really know how there's much of a discussion around at this point. Obviously LeBron is so vital to this team, but Embiid has been the same. My other point that I was worried about for Embiid in the last few seasons, could he embrace the spotlight and carry the team we need him? And I think absolutely, because not only is he killing it on the offensive side of the ball, his defensive rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, they're all better this season than last year. He has just gone leaps and bounds to be better this season than the year before. We have been so used to just kind of seeing Embiid keep about the same, maybe get a little better, still be dominant. Don't get me wrong, still a dominant player, but he's always just kind of never taken that next step. And finally, I don't know if it's Doc Rivers. I don't know if he's just realizing there's a clock for how long that this team can be good. He has just put it all into this season. He helps the team on offense, on defense. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a personality they all get behind, and he is the MVP frontrunner of this season. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm going to be shocked if he does. If he plays the same way he does, till the All-Star break and then after, there's no way you can't give the award to him. He is a big man back, and he is running this. And the league should embrace it as well, because you can finally have this superstar and a big man that's leading the team. It's not just a guard. Like, Ben Simmons is great, but Ben Simmons is definitely like the 1B to this. Embiid is 1A, Simmons is 1B, Tobias Harris is 2 at this point. Because Tobias Harris has definitely excelled and he's improved as well, and I don't have the full breakdown on him. But just from watching on the eye test in the game, I think Tobias Harris is absolutely a great player. I don't think can be a superstar and a game changer in the same way that Simmons and Embiid are, but I think Tobias Harris is still going to be the third person to that big three for sure. Like, no one else is taking that spot, and Harris needs to continue to be consistent, which he is. The good thing about Harris is that, as much as there can be some streaky games, he's still a very consistent player in every game. So you can rely on him. The big part, obviously, for Sixers down the road is, can the bench players, can the complementary pieces, your Seth Currys, your Danny Greens, your Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, Tyrese Maxey, if he comes through. I mean, like, these are the players we need to see them step up a little bit. And Shake Milton obviously has this season. He is, I mean, it's incredible to see what Shake Milton has become. Really happy to keep him on the team and have him playing like this. Thybulle, I think, if we can give him more time. Korkmaz is another one, but Korkmaz is infuriating because he either does crazy shots and makes them all, or next thing you know, he's cold for the next 2 games. So I don't see much in that. But the role players need to kind of step up, and they have. I mean, Seth Curry was for a while, had a better career 3-point percentage than his brother just because he had a streak of several games where he was killing it. I watched one game where he couldn't miss. So, I mean, Seth Curry has obviously had some inconsistency issues throughout the season, but, still a great 3-point shooter outside. Danny Green, a tried and true 3-point shooter who, even if he's not playing well during the regular season, you can rely on him in the playoffs. So I think everything's coming together. Oh, and Dwight Howard, obviously. Love me some Dwight Howard. I can't believe that he has come from being, MVP of the league, making it to NBA Finals, to pariah of the league, it felt like. No one wanted him. He bounced around from teams. He was considered a cancer in the locker room. To now he's the fun, awesome guy that's coming off the bench and playing his heart out. I mean, I love the way Dwight Howard has looked on this team as well. Again, it's this group of players that some of them you feel are not the same name recognition as like some of the other players we've brought in the past, and yet they are absolutely filling the role to make this team great. They look like they're having fun on the court. There seems to be cohesiveness. They're playing well. I mean, they obviously put fans through a lot because they get huge leads, and usually they're going to dwindle some of it, but still win. That's been hard for me to watch, is when they get these giant 20-point leads and then they get rid of it, lose it somehow by the fourth quarter to where all of a sudden it's an 8-point game and it's a winnable game for the opponent. So, like I said, there's still a lot they need to fix. They need to be able to play a full 4 quarters without losing leads and whatnot. They need to be able to keep their opponents obviously low scoring, because while the Sixers can score a lot of points, they're not the Nets, right? They're not going to average 120 or 30 points a game. I think this season right now they're averaging somewhere like 113, 115. So, I mean, they're scoring a lot, but, in this NBA, this new NBA, I mean, that's not killing it, right? Like, you want to be able to, you're going to have to score 120 or 30 if you're not playing defense. But with their defense, you hope that they can, start getting into this. So, again, great team basketball. Just great team basketball. The stars look great. Embiid, absolutely the MVP of this league. Simmons has just become the mature player we want, where the decisions he makes out there, field general, man. He's a field general on the court. He just makes it work. And I love watching him play. Again, he doesn't have a jump shot, and that will piss off people till the end. Fans will be asking that for as long as he's here in Philadelphia. That will be the one complaint. He doesn't have a jump shot yet. I don't know why he doesn't. We've seen him take shots and make them. We've seen him be able to do it. I don't know why he doesn't take it, but I will take the high percentage shots that he has to go through. Like we said, his true shooting percentage is up. He's making sure he's getting to the ones he can make, which I think has always been the problem. He only likes to take shots he knows he can make, but he's still taking more of them, and he's making a better clip, and he's going to the free throw line. So as long as Ben Simmons is making an attempt to get fouled and go to the free throw line, I'm okay with it. And his free throw percentage is up, so that's all positive in my book. But man, it's just, I mean, where was his last few seasons? It's really remarkable to see how much it took just to have a new coach come in with a new system and new fresh set of eyes to just be like, this is possible. Like, we can have both these stars on the court and we can be really freaking good. I mean, no one said LeBron James and Anthony Davis can't be on the court because they're both going to be down in the paint. Like, no one was saying that. So why can't you make it work here? So absolutely incredible. Everywhere across the board, they're playing so well. And that's why I'm excited now that we get to talk 76ers. It's fun to go from like talking about the completely failure organization of the Philadelphia Eagles and this disaster of a season that they had, and the players are disgruntled and getting rid of your franchise quarterback, and now getting to look at the 76ers where like the biggest gripe is, oh, they lost to a bad team recently. Yeah, but they're winning against great teams and they're playing great. Like, it's night and day. We have something to be excited about. We're going to have playoff basketball in Philadelphia. We're going to have a chance to say this team can make it to the finals. This team could be a championship team. Like, we can have that debate now. And it's so great to feel. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for the rest of the season, excited to see where they go. And I'm happy that we finally have a great coach who can lead these superstars to the promised land. So, all around, it's going to be a wonderful season to watch 76, and we're going to have a lot more to discuss absolutely as the season unfolds. So with that, folks, we are going to wrap it up. Yeah, the first all Philadelphia 76ers episode on the ChadBurn Show this season. Like I said, there's been a lot of basketball so far. We're very late to the game, but we obviously focused on the Eagles for a long time, and the Eagles were dysfunctional enough to give us something to talk about even after the season and past the Super Bowl. So had to kind of ride the wave where it was going. But doesn't mean we were not following the 76ers. Doesn't mean we weren't loving watching them play. So now we get to finally talk about it, see what we've seen so far, break down the players, the coach, and there's going to be a lot more of it. I'm excited to start talking basketball, my favorite sport of all, and I'm excited to start, getting more and more Sixers injected into me, and as we get closer to halfway through the season and then move on to the, final stretch into the playoffs. But yes, much more on the Sixers. Continue to go, and hopefully they hold on that first place spot. I think it'll be tough with the Nets, but, maybe they can get it done. Anyway, I am thankful just to get through this episode and so happy to have you all listening and continue to give us support. As always, you can check out our stuff online and, continue to support us and share us your love, and we appreciate that. And until next time, have a good evening and good night. Thank you for listening to the ChadBurn Show. Remember to check out all new episodes every Monday at 7 p.m. on Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and all major platforms where you listen to your podcast. If you'd like to get in touch with me and want to send in your questions or requests for topics to discuss in the show, you can email chadburn.show@gmail.com. All episodes have video recorded, which is then posted to our YouTube channel, The ChadBurn Show. Be sure to subscribe to us where you get your podcasts or on our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all our new content. You can also follow the show on Instagram at ChadBurn Show and on Facebook, The ChadBurn Show, to see clips from previously recorded episodes and information on all upcoming shows.